Welcome to the discussion about instrumental and vocal lessons, obviously at the Bluecoat School. We're chuffed a bit, really happy that you have expressed an interest in having instrumental lessons at school next year from September onwards, and hopefully this will give you a bit of information about what to expect and how the whole scheme and the system works. I'm going to go through a series of slides just with some information. If I don't answer all of your questions, obviously you can contact school at any time and we can give you some more information as you see fit to ring. So the first slide is all about the instruments that we have on offer. As you can see there, we have a load of instruments on offer: piano, keyboard, violin, singing, flute, clarinet, saxophone, brass, electric guitar and acoustic guitar, and of course drums and percussion. Okay, we have specialist instrumental teachers who come into the school on set days and would teach the students in these particular disciplines. All of our peripatetic teachers are extensively trained. They are professional musicians themselves, and we are able to attract the very highest quality of music teachers, which we are very proud of. So those are the instruments. The lessons will take place in the lodge, which is situated to the left of the entrance gate in the school. So when you first come into Bluecoat, you'll go through the main gates on Edgerton Street, and then on the left hand side of the main gates there is a lodge, and this is the lodge. The gates have changed slightly. They used to be blue, they're now big black gates, and as you can see just here, this is the lodge area. You will enter the lodge along this little pathway here. There's a door with a doorbell. You'll press the doorbell and the music teacher will come and let you in, and then that's where you will have your lesson. There are 4 instrumental teaching rooms in this lodge area, and this is where all of the instrumental lessons take place. Lessons will last for 30 minutes, and they take place, each of their timetables, and take place each week, unless there is an issue which the teacher then lets us know, and we will re-timetable, but we'll give you plenty of notice for this. But that is the standard, where lessons will take place each week and last for 30 minutes. Now, we will guarantee 30 minutes a year. Oh, sorry, 30 lessons, should I say, a year, but usually you'll have far more than that. Now, of course, with the current situation, we are looking into this depending on when the schools will get back in September, and this is obviously open to discussion and subject to what the situation is from there. But we look to guarantee 30 lessons. The timetables will be able to view or to print out from our school VLE, which is called Bloodle. You will get, or your child will get, access to Bloodle on the very first week when they're in Bluecoat, and they'll be able to access all of the timetables from there. These timetables are updated every term by Mrs. Roberts, who is in charge of the instrumental peripatetic scheme. Paper timetables also are displayed in the music department and on the green, on the notice board just outside the corridor of where the green room is. And again, the students will be shown where this is in the first week. Timetables are designed on a rota so that students don't come out of lessons at the same time, and they're updated on a regular basis. So they are planned at the start of each term, but they are updated on a regular basis. And again, the teachers will tell you if there's any small changes to your lesson times, and everything should work quite well. All of the instruments will be stored in Band Room 2, which is situated behind the technology block. We sometimes call this the SO building as well. The SO building has a lock on it. It is a keypad lock, and your child will get the code to the keypad. They type in the code, go into the room and leave their instruments on the shelves provided, and the room will stay locked throughout the day. The students will then obviously pick up the instruments when they're ready to go to their lesson and then walk down to the lodge. The distance between the Band Room 2 and the lodge is approximately around about a minute's walk. It's not too far at all, so teachers will let students out of lessons to go and get their instruments, and then they will go and have their instrumental lesson down in the lodge. Here's an example of the timetable. So, as you can see, this is a group timetable, apart from C, where we have an individual lesson there, but we tend to have them in groups of 2 or in groups of 3. Down this side, we have the timings of the day. You will see that there are certain times that are blocked out. That will mean that the teacher is not teaching at this particular time. And as you can see, on Friday the 11th of June, the first time that Mr. Bennett is teaching is from 9:50 a.m. in the morning. So we have E, and we can see that Ben Jones, Kurt Faulkner and James Moore, who are in these form groups, will be timetabled to be at 9:50. Now, because we are on Q week and P week, we would expect that the same lessons wouldn't be missed each week, so therefore they can go across and have the same times for both weeks, which allows for a lack of confusion or anything like that. You'll then see that on the 25th of June, it changes to C at 9:50, and E jumps to 2:30. So that means that on Q week, they would miss part of period 2, the current pandemic situation, but we regularly have jazz orchestra, senior choir, brass band, all our choir, string orchestra, wind ensembles, and other popular ensembles. We are looking to hold smaller ensembles next year, which will be in line with social distancing, depending on what happens when we return back to school in September. But once we get back up and running to regular normality, these are the ensembles that take place. And there is a timetable that all students would have for when these rehearsals would take place. They are very, very popular ensembles. In some cases, we take the students out to perform in the local local community. They'll also perform nationally. The jazz orchestra, the senior choir and the brass band have performed down in Birmingham at Symphony Hall as part of the National Festival of Music for Youth and a competition. And the senior choir and the brass band have been fortunate in recent years to actually perform at the Royal Albert Hall in London, again as part of the Music for Youth Schools Prom. So we're a very active extracurricular music department. Again, that's some of the major events that we've had. We have a Christmas and Easter concert, which are always very, very well attended and a load of fun. Key Stage 3 piano recital, where a lot of students who play the piano would be able to perform to their peers and also to their parents. We have every year a GCSE music showcase, which is performed in the hall, and that shows the talents of the students who are taking GCSE music and get ready for their performance exams. And we also do annual exams with the Royal Schools of Music, the ABRSM, and musical theatre as well. So very, very active indeed. Music staff who will be issuing the lessons for you. We have myself, Mr. Hewson. We also have the instrumental music coordinator, which is Mrs. Roberts, and you'll meet her in September. Brass and saxophone teacher is Mr. Fieldhouse. Woodwind keyboard piano is Mrs. Hayes. Miss Davis does our singing for us. Violin, and this also includes cello, is Mr. Lord. We have guitar teacher Mr. Bennett, and the drum teacher is Mr. Rennick. Mr. Rennick also does percussion teaching as well. So as well as drum kit, he would do orchestral percussion and tuned. We're very fortunate to have two administrators of the instrumental Perry service, who is Mrs. Close and Mrs. Barthram. Mrs. Close is the administrator, the main administrator for the instrumental service, and Mrs. Barthram is the financial administrator for the service as well. There are the contact details. So we have Mrs. Close on 323 and Mrs. Barthram on 285. So any queries that you have regarding the Perry service will go straight to them, please. Okay, so if it is an administrative query, please extension 323 for Mrs. Close. If it's a financial query, we go to Mrs. Barthram 285. If the students have a query, they are to go and speak to Mrs. Close, which is who is situated in the main office behind the reception in the main building, or they can ask either myself or Mrs. Roberts in their music lessons in the first couple of weeks. Now, the music contract. The contract does last for the full academic year because the Perry teachers are contracted by the school. And in order to keep the costs down, we offer a choice of either group or individual lessons. And the students are matched by Mrs. Roberts based on experience and ability. Mrs Roberts will get information from the Oldham Music Service and the primary schools on where the students are up to, the pupils are up to in terms of their ability or experience. Now, if people haven't been having music lessons at the primary schools, that does not matter at all. Any information will be taken with discussions with yourselves, or if necessary, any primary schools that might actually help us. If an issue arises, should I say, staff are available to support your child, obviously with their tuition and the transition. So we're always there to support the pupils in Year 7, to show them where to go, to show them where to put their instruments, and to help them along with that. Very important, ladies and gentlemen, is that please note that when your child starts music tuition, that you are contracted to payment for the full academic year, even if they choose to stop having lessons throughout the academic year, because we contract the Perrys for this academic year. We are obliged to pay them for the academic year. Therefore, the cost comes to the students. And the only way that we can actually stop to change this is if we get somebody to replace your child in the academic year. But the vast majority of times we have contracted payments for the full academic year. Music payments are taken via WisePay, which is the chosen payment system in the school. And if there's any issues with payments, please contact Mrs Barthram on extension 285 and discuss it with her. It says that we have contract forms available this evening. Obviously we don't, but Mrs Barthram and Mrs Close will be able to be contacted at school. And if you would like a contract form emailed out, then please just email the school and we can send that from there. If you can make sure that all the forms are returned to Mrs Close by the 10th of July, we'd be very, very grateful. Here are the fees. Okay, we have group lessons and individual lessons, as mentioned previously. The group lessons for voice, we have £81 for the term, and we offer them in a minimum group size of 4. Now, obviously, this is subject to change because of the pandemic and COVID recommendations, and we will let you know in advance if there's going to be any changes to this. Violin and cello, £76. These are going to be offered in a group size of 3. And all other instruments are going to be £88 a term, and these are offered in a group size of 2. Now, the reason why these two are different is because the voice and the cello and the violin are offered by Oldham Music Service, who have a set price. We are able to employ other Perry teachers who are not involved with Oldham Music Service, and this is the reason why we're able to do the grouping slightly different. So Oldham Music Service teachers are for these two instruments, and then we have private teachers who come in for the rest. Now, if you're wanting to have individual instrumental lessons, voice, £324 for the term, violin, cello, £228 for the term, and all other instruments are £175 per term. The big change is, of course, as I've explained previously, because down to the fact that we were dealing with Oldham Music Service for some of their teachers and privately as well. So if you sign up for lessons, you're committing yourself to the academic year. Please remember that it's the whole academic year that you are committing yourself to. Instruments can be insured on your house insurance at no extra cost, but you do need to make sure that you let your insurers know about the instruments that you would be having in your house, and it's usually covered by there. If you do have a slightly more expensive instrument or a larger instrument, it's possible that you would want to get out individual insurance from that, and that can be found on the internet, by companies who would specialise with musical instrument insurance. Now, frequently asked questions. Can we borrow a school instrument? We have a limited supply of school instruments, and these are supplied on a first-come, first-served basis. They tend to be brass instruments and wind instruments as well. We have 1 or 2 violins, but that is around about it. We aren't able to loan guitars, keyboards, and larger string instruments as well. If you wish to buy your own instrument, I would recommend music shops that can be found online, such as Norman's or Band Supplies or John Packer, if you're looking for woodwind or brass instruments. For the more popular instruments like keyboards, drum kits, guitars, acoustic and electric guitars, Chamberlain Music always do good deals, as do Gear for Music. That is number 4, not the word for, Gear for Music, and these can all be found online. If you have a query, who do we phone? I've already mentioned that you ring Mrs. Close for admin on extension 323, or Mrs. Barthram on 285 for finance. Why is there a waiting list? Well, there's a waiting list obviously to do with the groupings. If we don't have enough students to put into groups of 3 or 4, there might be a possibility that your child is put onto a waiting list. If that is put onto the waiting list, then obviously you won't be charged for this, and we will let you know when a suitable vacancy comes available, and then your child will be put on, and then you'll be asked to pay for it from there. So it doesn't happen very often, just on the odd occasion if we can't quite get the groupings right, or there's not enough balance, that we have to have a bit of a waiting list. How is progress monitored? The progress is monitored through practice diaries and books that are issued at the start of every year by every instrumental teacher, and this is a form of communication, ongoing communication between the Perry teacher and the parents. The Perry teacher will write into this book if there's any concerns or any issues, as well as how the student is doing, and this will be given to the student at the start of the year, and we like it when parents also write in if they have any comments for the teacher, if they do it through these progress diaries. At the end of every year you will receive a report saying how the student has done, giving effort grades and attainment grades, and that is how progress is monitored. Can you learn more than one instrument? Yes, you can learn more than one instrument and sign up for more than one instrumental lesson, but we don't recommend that you do this right from the outset. What we tend to find is that people who right at the start sign up for more than one lesson, they tend to get a little bit confused with timetables, and sometimes this can hold back their academic progress by coming out of too many lessons. So we would recommend that maybe you only start with one, and then if you find that that's going well, you can then increase that to possibly 2, should you wish to do so. Again, it's entirely up to you, and if you are desperate to learn more than one instrument, then of course that is absolutely fine. But the recommendation is that we start off with one. What can parents or carers do to help? Please support obviously the service by listening to your child's practicing, and taking an invested interest in your child, which is really, really important, obviously. Any issues or any concerns, let us know at a very, very early stage, so we can sort that out as and when, so it doesn't build up into a bigger problem. And communication with your child, communication with the school, communication with your individual instrumental teacher will always be of benefit. So we'd really, really encourage that. And finally, when do the lessons start? All being well, we're looking to start the instrumental lessons in the 2nd week back in September. So we have the 1st week to make sure that everything is bedded in and all timetables are correct, and then we start back with the instrumental lessons in September, the 2nd week back. Obviously this is subject to change due to the ongoing pandemic, and if anything does change, we will obviously let you know. So I hope that's given you a lot of information. I'm sorry that we can't give it in person like we would normally do on an intake evening, but hopefully, as I said, this gives you the information you need. If you do have any more comments or questions or queries or concerns, anything whatsoever, please let us know at the school. Speak to Mrs. Close on the extension number, or if you want to email the school, things can be forwarded across to us, email, and we will get back to you as soon as we possibly can. Thanks very much for listening to this video. Hope it's given you the information you need, and students, we look forward to seeing you in September, where you'll start your musical journey with us. Thanks everybody, take care, stay safe, and look forward to seeing you in September.